today we'll be discussing about newspaper reading. So most of you are like new joinees here. Most of them are from the new batch only, right? Have I ever taken any newspaper session with you? Yes or no? How many have already attended? Okay, quite a few. It's okay. So today we'll try to understand the importance of newspaper reading. See, when we are talking about UPSC examination, right? If we ask any layman person also about UPSC civil service examination, one thing that person will know that you have to read newspaper, right? And somehow today when we see aspirants, they forget that how important is newspaper reading. You cannot clear your civil service exam if you are skipping your newspapers. Newspaper forms the foundation of your preparation. Even when you are covering your static part, right, the basic foundational content, right, say for example you're covering polity, you're covering different concepts which are given in Lakshmikant. Now you have to cover the dynamic part also, the current part also, because the question which seems to be static, it is there in the paper because it was in news, right? So one basic, very simple benefit of reading newspaper is you can predict questions which will come. Something in news will become a question. It can be a direct question which was there in the newspaper, or it can be in relation to the static part which is there. So without newspaper reading, your preparation is incomplete, right? This is the most common question which is asked: should I read newspaper? Should I read it daily? Yes, you have to read newspaper. Newspaper is very important, right? Like I told you, even a person, if you'll ask anyone who's going down the road also, you ask him one basic thing about civil service, he'll say you have to read newspaper. You need to have certain general knowledge, right, in layman terms. So newspaper reading is very important. Now, coming to the part of newspaper reading, basic questions are which newspaper to read. Right? Second question is how to read newspaper. What is the basic technique? Then how much time should one devote to newspaper reading? The next is how to make notes. Then lastly, what about the monthly magazines? Can they replace newspaper reading, or they will act as a supplement for your newspaper reading habit? So these are most common 5 questions about your newspaper reading, right? Once these are done, you can ask your questions also if you have, other than these questions, if you want to know anything extra about newspaper reading. So first, when we're talking about which newspaper to read, so I think this should be clear to everyone. Most common newspaper which is which is read by aspirants since inception of the exam has been The Hindu. Why The Hindu? Because it's not a political mouthpiece, right? It has articles which are very balanced in nature. Unbiased articles. And this is what we need in our answers also. Balanced answers, unbiased answers, not political answers. So, if you develop the habit of reading articles from here covering Hindu newspaper, this will reflect in your answers also. As simple as that. So, reading commercial newspapers like Hindustan Times, Times of India, Deccan Chronicle, they're not usually very balanced in nature, right? Plus, the standard of articles is very good. Standard, or you can say quality, because the authors, they're very usually well published authors, or they are the authority in that specific area in which they're writing that particular article. So the Hindu should be your choice. Now, these are the pros when we are talking about the Hindu, right? But there are certain problems also. Problems not with the newspaper per se, but with the respect of aspirant who has just started the preparation. Sometimes it becomes difficult to understand the articles because sometimes the language is little tough to understand, right? The articles are not simple in nature. Some articles, right? You need to have certain background sometimes. The language or vocab is sometimes difficult to understand. So these are some cons when you are just new to preparation, when you have just started your preparation, right? So now what to do? So the alternative is you can read Indian Express. This also has same kind of features, pros as compared to Hindu, but the articles are much easier to read, easier to decipher, easier to understand, right? So, for example, in Indian Express, there's one page known as explained page, which regularly covers articles in a Q&A form, question and answer form, which is very easy to understand for an aspirant who has just started preparation, right? Q&A in very simple English. Then articles, they are very easy to understand. The language, the vocabulary, it's not very flowery, very difficult vocabulary is not used. Simple in nature. So when you have started and if you feel this is little difficult to understand, what you can do is you can start with Indian Express. Once you have developed certain base, once you have understood how to read it, right? How to read it, I'll tell you in few minutes. Once you have got the basic of newspaper reading, then probably you can shift to the Hindu, right? And taking further, if you are a senior aspirant who has already given one attempt, so usually what is suggested is you keep one newspaper as base, right? Say for example, you're reading Indian Express, the entire paper, but cover editorial part from the Hindu and vice versa. If you're covering the Hindu wholly, this is your source newspaper, and if you are 1 year into the preparation, 2 year into the preparation, then you cover editorials of Indian Express also, right? So these things you should keep in mind. These are the two standard newspapers you should be covering, right? Now, apart from newspapers, there are also questions about that there are so many magazines are also there. Yojana is there, some IAS Chronicle is there, Kurukshetra is there, lot of magazines are there, right? So I would suggest start slow, start with the newspaper, don't overload yourself. You'll read magazines, 2 magazines every month, you'll read newspaper also, you'll exhaust yourself. At the end of the day, human capacity to read things is limited in nature. Don't overburden us. You have a lot of things to learn. You have to prepare for prelim, you have to prepare for mains. Newspaper is not the only thing you will be covering. So do the basic things first. Start with basic things. So don't overload yourself with 10 different magazines. Cover newspaper once you are 4 to 5 months into the preparation, then probably one magazine if you have to see, right? You don't have to cover that magazine also, not from cover to cover, that from page 1 to page and you have to read everything. Yojana is good. See the index, see the syllabus. If any relevant article, any good example is there, pick that up and include it in your notes. Right? So that is one magazine, Yojana, which you can refer but not at the start. Once you have done 1 or 2 subjects 6 months into the preparation, then you can supplement your preparation with that. Right? So these two newspapers, these are backbone of your preparation. These are very important. Knowing about what is going on in the world, right? What is going on in the country, it is very important. Just knowing about, okay, you are reading polity, you're reading about election commission and you don't know what is going on in the news. What is happening? Is there any news with respect to election commission? Recently, any change in power has happened? Who is the election commissioner? These things you should be knowing. Just sticking to the static books is not the good way forward when you are preparing for UPSC. Right? So these two newspapers are important, plus later on you can shift to Yojana. Now, other thing in the newspaper you should look about is there are certain authors who write good articles, right? Say for example in Hindu, right? Once you start reading newspaper, these things you will also realize. There is a author by the name of Pratap Bhanu something, right? Sorry, I don't remember the exact name. He writes good essay, Pratap Bhanu Mehta, I think, on polity as a subject. Very good articles, right? Constitutional provision, polity related, anything democracy related, his articles are good, right? Then there is a sociologist by the name of Jean Deraze. His articles on your poverty related, inequality related, right? They're very good. So once you see his name, do cover his article, you will find good things, right? Then there is Ishwar, sorry, not Ishwar, Ishwar Aluwalia. Her articles on urbanizations are very good. Process of urbanization, right? So there will be certain authors. I'm not saying you just look for their articles. There are certain authors who have been writing since long and they have expertise in certain areas. So you will always find good fodder material from newspaper, right? If they have written any article, right? Similarly, in Indian Express, he even writes in Hindu also, Ashok Gulati. His articles on agriculture are very nice. He has been member of lot of agricultural commission also, so his take on agriculture issue is very good. Then C. Rajamohan, international relation. His articles are very nice. So once you are regular with the newspaper, slowly you will realize there are certain authors who are the authority in certain areas and their articles usually will give you a lot of knowledge. So give a special focus on them, right? These are just few names which I can recall. You also, when you'll read, you'll realize this person is regular in writing your articles. Now, sometimes there are articles written by politicians also. Skip that. Usually there will be biased in nature, right? So if it is an opposition member, you will always criticize, but obviously you can see if there is a genuine criticism, you can pick it up. If it's a ruling party politician, he will always praise any scheme which is there. So that will be little unbalanced. So sometimes you will find that editorial will be there of a politician. Read it with caution, right? Read it with open mind. Don't treat it as the final say on that particular topic, right? So these two newspapers you should be keeping in mind. It's your choice. Whichever newspaper you feel is good, you should cover that, right? And this goes for every aspect of the exam. Even when we're talking about sources, which books to read, the best notes or the best material is which is easy for you to understand, right? One book I feel might be easy, right? I might feel this ABC book is very good, it is very easy. For the other person, it might be very difficult to understand. So, forcing yourself to read that book because I have said it, right, should not be the way forward when you are selecting sources. Which you feel is easy. And obviously, one first criteria is it should be covering all the topics given in the syllabus. If it is covering all the topics in the syllabus, and if it looks easy for you, if it is easy for you to understand, pick up that source. Don't run after different resources, and also don't run after 10 different resources. That new material is there, you have to read that also. Next week some other material comes, you read that also. Keep single source which you feel works for you. That is important. 10 different toppers will tell 10 different books, right? Obviously there will be over. Now see, for polity there's one book, final book, Lakshmikant, everybody reads it, so there is no two way. It's easy to understand, easy for everyone. But when it comes to subjects like internal security, disaster management, there are multiple resources. Choose a source which completes all of the syllabus and is good for you. Don't run after clickbait, so this is the best material, this is that. Whatever works for you is best. Right? So similarly for newspaper, whatever works best for you. There is no one size fit all approach for UPSC. Everybody is different. Don't force yourself to read something which you're not understanding, right? So choose your choose your books very judiciously. Whatever is easy for you, whatever is easy for you to understand, to retain, select that particular thing, right? Yes, are we clear here? Okay. Now, how to read newspaper? The question of how. See, now there are two slightly different approaches depending upon the paper. For prelim and for mains, slightly different. I would not say that totally different. Obviously, you do a comprehensive reading of the newspaper, but there is slight difference in the approach. Difference being, for prelim you need facts. This is very important point. For prelim, it's a factual paper. MCQ. Options will be there, right or wrong, black and white. Right? For mains, you need opinion. Both of them will come from the newspaper, but the way you are collecting those articles, way you are collecting the material, that will differ. Right? So for prelim, your fact might be that some particular bill has been introduced in the parliament. So now the features of bill, they are fact. Whatever are the features of the bill, right? Say for example, hypothetically tomorrow there is a bill introduced about uniform civil code in India. So now what are the features of the bill? What are the specific points? Those are facts. right? That okay, this will apply to these religion, these will be the rules. Those are facts. Now, when you cover that same topic for the mains, now you need opinion. Opinion about this UCC, right? What are the strengths of this bill? What are the weakness or the challenges of the bill? And what should be the solution? What should be the way forward? So here there is a difference. So now, say today there is a the bill about Uniform Civil Code is tabled in Lok Sabha, right? So the news will be on the front page, right? So this is the news. There they would have given the topic, and there will be points that okay, this were the points. Now here this is important for your prelims. You should know the features. Mains exam, they will not directly ask you write features of UC because that's too simple in nature. Mains is about analysis, about opinion. What is your opinion? Now, once, if today's 23rd, if hypothetically on front page the news about UCC bill comes, now in the next 1 to 2 weeks, for a time period of 1 to 2 weeks, even for one month also, there will be innumerable authors who will be writing about UCC. Different authors. Some will give opinion pro to UCC, some will be against it, some will be giving solutions, some will be given a middle path for it, someone will tell different things, different opinions. Your job is to collect those opinions. Understand a comprehensive view about UCC, not one-sided view that okay, you belong to, say you are a Muslim and you have certain aspects which you feel are right as a Muslim. If you are a Hindu, you are choosing those aspects which you feel. Give away that prejudice based on your caste, gender, religion, community. Do a 360-degree analysis as a civil servant. That what are the strengths? Everything which is there, any policy, any law, anything in the world, it will have some strengths, it will have some pros, it will have some cons. You should be knowing both of them. Your job when you're writing answers in mains is to give a balanced view. That as a civil servant, I know these are the strengths, these are the weaknesses. And I also know the solution to this. These are the solutions. Now, how will you develop opinion? Opinion cannot be developed by reading one article in a monthly magazine. It cannot be. Opinion develops over time. Otherwise, you won't be able to give up your prejudice. Daily, when you read different views, then you will understand how things function. Right? Reading in isolation after 30 days, one article about UCC will not give you much information. It will not open your mental faculties about any specific, not just UCC, anything. When you read about multiple things, then that opinion develops. Right? Say, for example, you as a person, when you talk to 4 different people about similar things, 4 people will give 4 different opinions. Now, with this, there will be kind of a light bulb movement for you that, oh, I never thought in this manner. This person is also right, this person is also right. Right? Say, for example, in today's social media, you will find out that one day one reel will come which will give opinion about one something, right? And you will feel, yeah, this person is saying right. The next day some other reel will come which will give a counter view. That also you will feel that is right. Right? So it's not that there is a black and white thing that this is right, this is wrong. These are opinions, these are perspectives. You should be knowing any topic from different perspectives. That is important. If the topic is this room, these all windows which are there in the rooms, they give different perspective to the same room, If somebody is looking into room from that window, he will have a different perspective of the room. Person looking into the room from that will have a different perspective. Doesn't mean the description of the room by person looking from that window is right and this is wrong. Right? There is a story also, right? That there is an elephant and there are 6 blind people and they're asked to describe the elephant. Somebody touches because they're blind, somebody touches the tail, somebody touches the trunk, and their description depends upon whatever they're touching. All of them are describing the same elephant, but from different point of view. Now, how this different point of view develops? When you read newspaper, when over the time, over 1 month span, same topic will have multiple articles on it. Then you develop different opinions, different perspectives. You give up that rigid approach that I think this is right. I think this is the right way thing. You try to see it from different lenses, different windows. And when you have multiple perspectives, that will lead to more points in your answers. More the points, more the marks. Simple. And try to compare it with monthly magazine. I'm not saying, we will discuss it at end also, how monthly magazine can be used. Monthly magazine, if you're reading any monthly magazine, it comes with a gap of, after month gets over, gap of 5 to 10 days. Right? So it means something which happened on 1st October, you will read about it on 10th November. 40 days have passed. That issue might have become now redundant also. And you had absolutely no information for the last 40 days that people are dying somewhere, right? Genocide is going somewhere. Some law has, you were totally oblivious of the fact that something is going on. That's not a good sign of an aspirant, that you don't even know what is going on around you. How to make notes, whatever that comes, different, that's the next step. But you should be knowing what is going on. What are the different opinions which are going on right now? You should be updated daily. You should be knowing about what is going on around you, around the world, daily. Not after 40 days. Right? And an opinion built over 30 days, it's very easy to remember them, easy to recollect them. 10 articles came in the last 40 days, with a gap of one week. Every week you had 2 or 3 points. Now that is easy to understand rather than a monthly magazine together giving 15 points. You won't be able to remember those. You can't read monthly magazine today if you say that, okay, for 3 hours I will read the entire monthly magazine, I will learn everything about the topic. No, it is not possible. Human brain doesn't work like this. Preparation always has to be graded. Right? You all might be knowing the concept of slow cooking. It's very important in Indian cuisine. Whenever you cook something on slow flame, it's very tasteful. Same, do it with your preparation. Slow. You can't learn everything in one day. It's not possible. Right? You have to do it in a graded manner, slowly, every day. Now for last 30 days, if you're reading about 10 articles of UCC, you don't even need to learn it proactively. Already in your mind, slowly, if you're reading, you will retain that. But after 40 days, if 15 points are bombarded on you that, okay, learn these 50, it's difficult. You'll read today, you'll forget tomorrow. So that is why reading newspaper, because this is the most common question. I have not read newspaper for 5 months. What should I do? Start whatever date, if you're coming to me and asking on 23rd October, what should I do? Start from today. It's okay. Leave the pending part. But start somewhere. Don't keep on delaying the things. Don't stop procrastinating that, okay, tomorrow I will read, day after tomorrow, next month I'll start. I'll start from 1st November, I'll start from 1st December, any date, 13 December, 13 November, any date, just start newspaper. It will make your preparation very easy. Right? you will not overburden yourself. Otherwise, you will be in anxiety throughout the year that I have not read newspaper, I have not covered current affairs. You will be anxious all the time. Even when you're reading, you will be anxious. I've not read newspaper. Start somewhere, right? So you have to first develop this approach that when I'm reading newspaper, I have to collect facts also, I have to collect opinions also. Opinions will be mostly in the editorial part, editorial section. Facts will be scattered along the newspaper, whatever new thing is coming up, any international agreement has happened or any meeting has happened, right? That will be there scattered around the newspaper. So first, this mindset is important that if I'm reading something, what I'm looking for, right? Say some people in CSAT, right? What they do is, this is a nice approach. Before reading a reading comprehension in the CSAT paper, first they read the questions and then they read the passage, because with this they will know which areas, which line I should be reading carefully, because this is a question from that, because passage is very small, you can make out from the questions where you have to stress upon. So before reading newspaper, you should have a orientation. I have to find facts. I have to know opinions. Two areas, right? Now, how to look for facts, how to look for opinion, which is important, which is to be not read. So here, importance of syllabus comes. This I have said, if you have attended any of my orientation classes, this I've said innumerable times. Before you learn anything, learn your syllabus. Know the boundaries of your syllabus. Know the scope of the subject which they are expecting out of you. If you're reading, if you're picking up any subject without any clue about what is the syllabus, even the static part you won't be able to cover nicely, even the newspaper reading will be difficult. So know the boundaries which has to be read, right? So in UPSC preparation, what needs to be covered is very important, and what shouldn't be read, that will be clear if you know the syllabus. So in the morning when you open your newspaper or you're reading digitally, first exercise you have to do is, you are well versed with the syllabus, what you have to do is very quickly sift through the newspaper. Just go through the pages, right? While going through the headlines, at first instance, if you feel something is important, just take a pen and mark it with that, okay, this is important for GS1, Indian society probably, or geography. Just mark it. All the papers, all, news. And every day, hardly there are 4 to 5, 1 or 2 article will be important, 2 or 3 news items will be important, right? It's not that you have lot of workload. That is why when people ask how much time should I devote for newspaper reading, 30 minutes to 1 hour. And when you're new, 1.5 hour, not more than this. Otherwise, it is wastage. Don't start from page 1 to page and reading every news. That is not important. So just give a bird. So if this is your newspaper, just open it and just see the headlines and just mark it. GS1, GS2 polity. And this you will know only if you know the syllabus. Otherwise, you cannot point out. So GS2, okay, this is important for polity. This is important for IR. Right? And maximum editorials, maximum articles, you will find out that current affair is most important for these 3 areas. It is important for others also. You will have certain news items sometimes which is relevant for your ethics also, sometimes, but very rarely, right? For society also, for social justice, sometimes history news items will also, but very rare. Mostly in the newspaper, these are the focus areas. You cannot cover these subjects without knowledge of current affairs. Current affairs need to be updated, especially in these areas, right? Others also, say for example, internal security, disaster management, science and tech, it is also important. But the frequency of news items will be less as compared to these 3 areas. Frequency will be highest around these three areas, right? So give a special focus here. So your first step is to mark the relevant GS paper and the subtopic also, right? Whether it's polity, whether it's IR, these things you should be marking the moment you have your newspaper, right? Now the newspaper items are decided, say 8 to 10 items, and after you read, sometimes you realize this was not important. Just hardly reading one paragraph, you feel that this is not important, right? In Hindu, the editorial page, on the side there are small articles, two articles are there, right? And then there are two articles here, and another paper, two articles, or sometimes one. Usually these side articles are not very important. Hardly you will get some fodder material, right? And in these two articles also, very rarely, sometimes one, sometimes not even one article is important for your syllabus. Or even if it is important, it doesn't contain fodder material. You are like a treasure on a treasure hunt. When you're reading newspaper, you're finding out your treasure which will be important in your answer. So if you read an article and you find that there is nothing much in this article, there is no fodder material which I could use it in my answer, skip that, right? But sometimes you will find in the articles very good lines, sometimes good quotes, good vocabulary words also. Pick that up, use it in your answer, right? So first has to be marking of your syllabus. Now the boundary is clear. In the next 1 hour, or in 30 minutes or 1 hour, these 7 items I have to cover, right? Now you start reading the newspaper, right? Now next question is, I have read it, what should I do? Should I make notes, right? What should be my next step here, right? Note step I'll tell you, but in newspaper, apart from syllabus, political news has to be avoided. You don't need to know which party is giving, forming coalition with which political party, what politician said what. That is not important for you, right? Then one another point is, in economy section, you will daily find that, okay, your inflation has risen to this point, your IIP numbers are this. Numbers are not that important because numbers will change. If you list, see, your consumer price index or wholesale price index today, next month it will change. Inflation rate will change. So there is no point in noting down the numbers, right? Some report has come up, some, say they have talked about, say economic survey has fiscal deficit number. Now that is important, right? Or employment percentage rates, that is important. But something which keeps on changing every month, you don't need to cover that, right? So that you can also avoid. Just have a general knowledge about it, that okay, this time, this month inflation has increased, that's it. Learning numbers every month is a wastage of time. It will change. By the time you give the exam, the numbers will be totally different. If you are giving in 2026 numbers today, that will not matter in 2026 September or October, whenever is the exam. So be cautious what you are reading. Always ask yourself question, that will it be helpful for long run? Will it be helpful in writing answers? Does it give some interesting fact? Does it give an interesting line? Does it give interesting example? If the answer is yes, then the article is relevant. Otherwise, it is not. Right? So this is how you try to complete your newspaper, by marking it. Right? Now next stage comes in. I have read the newspaper. How do I consolidate it? Should I make notes or should I skip making notes, right? So depends how much is your expertise in making notes or how much time you have. So answer is yes and no both when it comes to notes. Totally depends upon you. So now when we're talking about notes, One thing you have to remember if you want to make notes, that yes, I want to make notes. I want to make notes daily. There will be students. Although daily making notes is not viable in long run, it's not sustainable. You'll make for 1 month, next month you won't be able to make, right? But still, certain notes can be made, right? Depending upon the importance of the topic. So if you are making notes, same manner, collect facts and collect opinions, right? I'll elaborate it for you. Now, if you're making notes, first of all, make it GS paper wise. Make it issue wise, not date wise, right? Date wise notes, if you're making that, okay, 1st October, 2nd October, 3rd October notes, that won't be easy to revise. So one UCC article comes on 5th October, other UCC article comes on 20th October. There is lack of consolidation, right? Or probably by 31st October, UCC bill is taken back, right? So your notes should have a flow, proper timeline should be there. So always write your notes issue wise, paper wise. So if you are writing on loose sheets, for example, so take this sheet, label it that okay, GS2 notes will be there. Make different folders. Here I will cover only polity issues. Even further in polity, you can segregate it. Constitution, preamble related, probably Supreme Court related, executive related, legislature effect related, because it will be easier for you to revise. If you're doing date wise, one notes of Supreme Court is on 5th October, other is on 2nd November. There is a mismatch. You can't revise it. Consolidation of notes is not there. So do it issue wise, do it paper wise. Right? Even if you are collecting facts for prelims also, try to do it your paper wise, subtopic wise. If you'll see the prelim monthly magazine of our institute and also of the mains monthly magazine, it has been segregated in the same manner according to syllabus, according to the subtopics. That segregation is, so if you are making your own notes also, do it in the same manner. Date wise notes never work. You'll just have a bulky register with you which you cannot revise, where there is no flow, there is no coherence, there is no structure, right? That was just for that timing you felt satisfied that today I have make notes, that's it. Don't do any work in your UPSC preparation because it is giving you happiness. Ask its output, benefit. If I'm writing these notes or these answer, is there any long run benefit or not? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, don't do it, right? So you mark it paper wise or issue wise. You make your notes on loose sheets, or better, easier way will be you can do digital also, right? Digital arranging the notes is very simple. You just give a space and you write down the next news. Anywhere you can add things if you're making an Excel sheet or Microsoft Word, whatever is, or Evernote, whatever is suitable for you, right? So you can do it in that manner. Now, next comes the students who say, no, I don't want to make notes every day. It's not possible for me. I have 6 hours of classes daily, which leaves no time for me to make notes. I don't have time. I'm not doing, I'm not doing full-time preparation. I'm a working professional. Or I just have very limited time after classroom teaching and I cannot devote it to just making newspaper notes every day. I'm very tired. I'm not left with time for revision, which are valid reasons. So now, how to move forward? The thing is, you will not skip newspaper reading. You will read newspapers. But what you can do is, you can make Google Drive folders. or Dropbox folder, whatever. Same manner. GS1, GS2, GS3, and then subtopics, subfolders in that. Constitution, Supreme Court, legislature, whatever, right? IR, you can make subtopics, China related, Pakistan related, Bangladesh related, Sri Lanka, US, etc., whatever. Now, what you have to do is every month you've read the newspaper, right? Take a digital screenshot of that article, arrange it in the folders. You already have knowledge about it, arrange it in the folders. Now, you don't have your notes. Now, what you can do is once monthly magazine comes in, read the monthly magazine, you already have knowledge about it. Read the articles. Now, go back to your folders. See if anything is missing. See if anything can be added, right? Or anything, any example which was missed by monthly magazine probably, or there is some new topic which was there, some point were missed. Add it with a sticky note in your monthly magazine. That will be a quicker way where you save time also, but you are aware of what is happening. There is no substitute for that. Everyday newspaper has to be read. There is no substitute. You cannot rely just on monthly magazine. For 1 month, you have already read about the topics, you have some knowledge, only you lack in notes. Use the monthly magazine now. Add sticky notes if anything is missing. Because see, the monthly magazine is also made from a perspective, person who is making, right? Although there is a long, selection of articles daily is done, is curated very carefully, right? But sometimes some points a person might feel these are obvious for you. It might not be obvious. That person might have skipped those points. So add any extra thing from the newspaper which you have already collected in that monthly magazine. Now you don't have to make notes from scratch every day. Just at the end of the month, 2 days or 3 days, try to consolidate and your work is done. But this doesn't replace newspaper reading. That is very, very important. At all times, you should be knowing what is happening. You should be knowing what is important for your exam and what is not important. What needs to be skipped, right? Then, from newspaper, you have to collect and make, if this is possible, this you can do. Collect data, recent data. Again, this also divided GS paper wise. Say some report has come on violence against women. Collect it separately. It can be used in social justice. It can be in fact used in some essay also. Probably some essay comes on it. So keep on collected data or statistics which come, right? Which might include some report, some indices, right? Percentage of something, right? Multiple forms that keep on coming. Some ranking comes in, that India's ranking in this particular thing is low or whatever. Collect this separately, because this will add value to your answer. When you write your answer and you're writing a statistic, you will get more marks than a person who has just written a line, who has not validated it with some data. So writing data makes your answer more, you will get more marks out of it. The examiner will realize that this person has better knowledge, or his answer or her answer is better than the other aspirants. The one basic thing about UPSC is you don't have to write the best answer. You have to write an answer which is better than your peers. How do you make it better? Value addition, diagrams, flowcharts, data, examples, current affair integration. This will make your answer better. You don't have to write the most perfect answer in the world. You have to write answer which is better than the other person. Simple as that. Right? Yes, are we clear here? Okay. So collect data From here you can make notes, separate notes for data, because it will be easier for you to extract this for your various answers. Otherwise it gets lost in the monthly magazine. So it will be like a catalog for any data. You make an index that, okay, economy wise this is there, for GS2 polity this is there, right? Then you can collect examples also. Examples, these will be very important for your ethics and essay. Any good story, any good example, any person has done good for the society. Good examples, keep on collecting. Any life story, any life anecdote comes in, you write it down, right? Say every year Padma awardees are there. Today, a lot of Padma awardees are common people, right? Previously, it used to be established people from various fields. Now they're even giving for to ordinary people also who have done a lot of good things. Go through their works, what they have done. Keep it as an example. Some civil servant launched some scheme, right? That will be helpful in governance part also, in ethics part also. So when you're reading newspaper, apart from collecting in this manner, reading editorials, extract certain value addition from here, data, examples. Sometimes certain good practices are discussed. Say they discuss some country's healthcare system. Now you might feel that, okay, Indonesia's, just a hypothetical example, Thailand's healthcare system, it is not important for me, it is not in syllabus, but you can use it as a good practice in your question about health sector, in the way forward, that we can follow their system, we can follow their insurance schemes probably, or related to education sector, there is some good practice in Sweden, Finland, etc., Nordic countries. You can use it in your way forward. So sometimes certain good practices which are of other countries, right, which might not be relevant to the syllabus, but you can use it as an example that, okay, we can follow this. Some state has done, launched some scheme. Now you don't need to learn the scheme because you're not giving the state exam, but you can write it that this can be copied all over India, this can be followed all over India. We can launch it in different states. This is a good practice. So you extract data, you extract your examples. With this, there will be a value addition in your answer. Somebody who has written a generic answer, very simple answer, right? The question is, say, about your probably uh, water conservation, or say health sector, is written the issues plaguing health sector in India, right? General issues that, okay, doctor patient ratio is low. Now one person has actually quoted the data here, not just low, he has given exact numbers, that 1 ratio 1000 is the exact number which should be there. In India it is 1 ratio 1400 something. Now this answer becomes specific. In your answer writing, you have to move from general or generic answers to specific answers. Specificity should be there in your answer, right? So say if you're writing mains answers, right, you write generic and general points. You're writing economy answer, fiscal deficit is low, inflation is high. This is very basic, very generic, right? Our aim is to move here to specific points where probably you quote data. Fiscal deficit is low, but what is the exact number? Health system has lack of doctors, what is the number? Right? Or you write examples. You have to move your answer from, because generic, 80%, 80 to 90% of people will write generic things. That will be the base of answer of everyone. You have to write specific point to stand so that your answer should stand out. It should be different. It should be better than the person at least who's sitting in front of you. It should be better than that. Or here you can even draw flow charts, right? That's a different thing, not related to newspaper, but flow charts, diagrams, maps. This will automatically give more marks. Toppers in UPSC examination, they are not somebody who is super intelligent, very high IQ, or out of the world presentation of answers. They are just at some point they were like you, regular students sitting in class listening to lecture. One point which makes them different, which makes them toppers, is this specificity in the answer, value addition in the answer. Generic points are already there in Lakshmikant. Everybody reads Lakshmikant at least 6-7 times before they give exam. Everybody knows what is written there. What are you doing extra? How you are ensuring you're getting more marks? Through value addition. Now this value addition, lot of things you will get from the newspaper. Data, current examples. Somebody is writing old example about, okay, obviously as a leader is important, okay, Mahatma Gandhi said this particular thing. That's something everyone will write about Mahatma Gandhi or Swami Vivekananda. You bring up something new which you have read in the newspaper, right? There's, when we're talking about newspaper, although I told you Times of India is not a good newspaper, but in Times of India, there's one small, not even an article, there's a small space is there. And that small space name is Speaking Tree. And it regularly gives, good stories, anecdotes, examples, philosophical bases, which you can use it in your ethics. Every day they will give something, and you don't have to read every day. Just here and there, you're feeling bored, you're not feeling like, reading. Just read that small space. Hardly one paragraph article is there. It will give a value addition to your ethics answer. Essay and ethics, preparation now has to be done together. Essay is also now philosophical essay only. Ethics also has similar base. So if you are doing preparation, do them together. So go through that, you will get good examples. Now here there will be value addition. You have an example which is not the same repeated monotonous example of Mahatma Gandhi or Swami Vivekananda. You came up with something very new, something very different. Everyone writes about the same thing every year. You have written some very different example which you read probably in the Speaking Tree or general newspaper. Some current example. Some person has given some quote which is very beautiful, which is very new, very novel. You'll get more marks. So our aim in the preparation first is that my answer should be better than the other person, right? I have to be better than other aspirants, other peers, right? They are just like you, but with some extra effort, not stopping at what is there being told in the class. They're doing some extra effort. Secondly, I have to move from generic answer, layman answers, to specific answers, to answers that have value addition. This will come when I'm regular with the newspaper. Students usually ignore the importance of newspaper. They'll not read it, they'll focus just on the classes. Newspaper is very important. Even in polity, GS2 paper, economy paper, it's entirely current affair based. IR is current affairs only. Very rarely you'll get a static part. Science and technology, at least in mains exam, you will get the current affair thing only. Disaster management, every year there is a propensity that if you're writing your exam, whichever disaster happened in last 1.5 year, like right now, the recent floods is one disaster which happened, right, during the monsoons in Punjab area, right, or landslides which happened in Uttarakhand. Now there is a very high possibility that question can either come from floods or from the landslides. And I'm not saying you leave other disasters. You give a special preference to this. You read them properly. You collect more examples. With newspaper, you can predict things that this year this will come because it was very regularly there in the newspaper. And you cover that properly. You bring novelty in your answers. You give examples. Because during the time flood was going on, there were numerous authors which wrote about it, that how development has led to these floods. They were even talked about urban floods. What are the issue about climate change? How these extreme weather events are increasing. Now monsoon has happened now because of La Nina. The winters are going to be very, very harsh in north. So these things you will know, although El Nino, La Nina, you read in geography, but its application, right? You read it, you understand it from the newspaper, current happenings. So read those things, understand, develop an opinion, collect facts. Notes, it's your choice. Like I gave you a choice that if you want to, I have told you what is the way to make notes. If you don't want, then also I have told you what is the way to cover those particular things. It's your choice now. Whatever you feel comfortable with, you can go for it. But try to, if you're not making notes, try to do this. At least collect segregated data, segregated examples in your notes. That is very important. Right? Yes, are we clear here? Okay. Now, monthly magazine, although I have already told you, now monthly magazine, I'm not dismissing. That they are useless, right? They are not. Monthly magazines are good, but only to supplement your preparation. Without base in newspaper, this is a waste. You'll read today, you'll forget tomorrow. So it's a supplement to your preparation, not base of your preparation, not the foundation of your preparation. That all your preparation time you never even read newspaper once, you relied only on current affair magazine. Right? Obviously, when exams are going on, like say May month, you might be concentrated on reading about prelims. That month you skip, then probably exception can be there, that okay, May month I can only rely on magazine, because it's wastage also that you go back and read 30 days of newspaper. That's not possible, and it's very difficult. Then exception can be made, but it should never be the foundation of your preparation, that all the news coverage which I am doing, they are just from the monthly magazine. I've never touched newspaper in my life. That's a wrong approach. Newspaper is very important, and I have told you why it is important. It gives you time to build those opinions, collect those facts, doesn't overload you with information. So use it to supplement it. So when we are looking at our monthly magazine, we have done it with the same approach. Prelim, facts are needed from newspaper. Mains, opinion is needed from newspaper. Analysis is needed. So prelim magazine, segregation is done in the same manner as the syllabus, if you see. Right? And now here, mostly there is coverage of the facts. There is coverage of data, features. Right? So prelim magazine covers the what part. Mains magazine covers the why part, why it is there. Right? What are, why this particular phenomena is there, or why this particular bill was there. When you question something, some cause of something, why? What are the basic features, data, or whatever is there. So the prelim magazine is according to the syllabus, and it caters to the fact part, factual part, what part. And when we go through the mains magazine, again the segregation. The segregation is according to the GS papers. GS1, Indian Society, Heritage, Culture, History, Geography of the World and Society. This is the syllabus topic which is given. UPSC main syllabus. Again, segregation, Indian society. Even within Indian society, whatever topics are there, segregation is again done. So even if you're making your own notes, it should look like this. Right? And this subcategorization is being done for your benefit. So that if you're not making notes, only reading newspaper, it makes it easy for you to track the news. Add something extra which you might have read. Add some extra data here. You can add it here. There's, enough spaces there in the individual articles. Right here in between, you can add the things. Paste a sticky note here. All the notes, they are exact mirror image of the syllabus. Even the topics, even the subtopics. So when you are reading any topic also, now another benefit of monthly magazine is, say you are preparing for your Indian society, you are reading the static part. What you can do is, you can go back and see the last 6 months magazine. Just read the Indian society part, right? Hardly 9 pages for 1 month, right? So if you are reading for 4 months, so almost 36 pages will be there, which is easier to do. So now you have done the static part also and the dynamic part also, current affair also, which makes it easier for you to remember. You can integrate it now that, okay, I read something about regionalism in Indian society. From the monthly magazine, you go back and see any article on regionalism, get its point. You can even add it in your own static notes also. This is the current affair news. So preparation has to be integrated in this manner. Just knowing what is regionalism is not important, right? Knowing what is currently happening, any current affair news is there, any new data is there, the why part of it, the opinion part of it, why it exists, that is also very important, right? Yes, are we clear about this? Are we clear about how to read newspaper, which newspapers to read, how to segregate your newspaper reading, and how to make notes? Yes. Any doubts? If you have, please ask. Any other question about newspaper reading or general with respect to preparation, if you're having any question? Yes, anyone? Yes. Can you please briefly discuss about the sports section and as well as news related to the state, for example, news related to Hydra, etc. Sorry, I didn't get your point. Can you briefly discuss about number one sports section? Did you come to the class late? Did you come to the class late? Yeah. Okay, so see, we have already discussed which news to pick up. Sports news is not important. You're talking about sports, you have to go by the syllabus. Whatever is there in the syllabus, you have to pick up those things. This video most probably will be released on the YouTube channel. You can go back. So your main focus when you're reading newspaper is it relevant to the syllabus? Now, sports news, it's not relevant, right? There's no part in the syllabus where they will ask you sport news, right? Probably very minuscule chance in prelims, probably very rare still, right? Or probably in science and tech, if something related to science is there in sports, right? Like the use of those spider webs or something. That might be a possibility, but other than that, sport news is not at all important. Skip that, right? Whatever you are reading in newspaper has to be syllabus. Now coming to the point of Hydra, you are saying that it is a local news. Now if you are writing about urbanization, right? Now there this can be used as an example. Everything, all the features about Hydra, what is Hydra, what are the features, implement, that is not important. But it can be picked up as an example. Probably you can use it in a question which is related to urbanization or where there is relevance of Hydra, then you can use. Otherwise, local news, you don't have to do it in detail, what is happening, what is the politics, what are the schemes. But as examples, you can use. Right? Yes, anyone else? Yes, any question about newspaper reading? Any other question? Since you have just started preparation, any question? Yes. Are we clear here about the newspaper reading? Now, if you still have any doubts, I am available at 1 o'clock till, at least till 6th, 7th November. I'll be every day available at 1 o'clock. You can come and ask. Other than that, I will be available on Tuesdays and Thursdays the entire day from 11 o'clock to 4 p.m. in the evening. Anytime any doubt is there about newspaper reading, about preparation, about sources, about any kind of book what you should be reading, or any question about timetable also, that this is my classroom time and this is my self study time, how do I manage, how do I prepare, how do I move forward, do I do something extra or do I just revise the classes, any type of question is there, you can come and meet, right? Other than that, if I am not available, if you want to know about my availability, you can message me here on Telegram. S0390, right? Then there is a Telegram channel in which I keep on sharing certain resources, or any news item is there, any important notes are there. You can go through this channel also, right? So if you want to take time or any personal queries there, question I'm not able to meet you, you can message me here for sources. This is ACE UPSC with Shilpa, right? So this you can go through for general materials, handwritten notes, you can refer to that, right? So we'll end the session here. Any doubts other than that, you can come and ask, right? Thank you.